Hey everybody, this is your boy Jim Austin, Jim Austin Online. I am excited to be here in Fort Worth, Texas. Some people call it Funky Town. Some people call it where the West begins. I just call it home. We are here at the Stockyards Podcast Recording Studios in the historic Stockyards in North Fort Worth. And we're at my studios at 21st and Main, and we are recording my podcast show, The Austin File. The Austin File is about commercial real estate. It's about what goes on in the Metroplex, and it's all about talking to people that are interesting. So today I have a special guest, Wanda Kaye Knight. She's has a book that's being published by Waldorf Publishing. And hey, how you doing today, Wanda?
I am doing fantastic. Good to be here.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am. What part of the world are you in?
I am in Washington State, so I'm up in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. But I've lived in Texas before, so as a matter of fact, I lived real close to Fort Worth out in Keene, Texas. So
Okay, I know it.
where you're from?
How far are you from Seattle?
About an hour and a half, something like that. Yeah.
That is God's country up there, I must say.
It's beautiful. You know, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on up here right now that I wish would simmer down and stop, but you sure can't take away from the beauty. It still has the rivers and the mountains and the ocean, and that part's the same. So that's good.
Sure. I did the drive from San Diego up to Medford, Oregon, and went through that part of the world and just loved it. So
Yeah.
congratulations in living in a beautiful part of the world, for sure.
My family takes advantage of it. They're kayakers and rock climbers and skiers and snowboarders. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not me so much, but the family.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to school in Tonganoxie, Kansas.
Okay.
So yeah, I come from your area of the country. So yes, I grew up in a small town in Kansas and started moving around when I was about 19 years old. So.
Okay. Well, my mother said it's not polite to ask a woman what her age is. So.
Oh, that's okay. I'm 65.
Okay.
I'm 66 now, yeah.
So I put it subtle there so you can answer she's right, or you can go ahead and say, hey, I don't care. You know, I'm glad to be 65 and I'm looking forward to counting every day of my life, you know.
Well, I'm getting to the age now where I'm starting to think, you know, I've been here. I'm lucky to have gotten to be here so long. I mean, you know, it's kind of like now you're over the other side and it's like, okay, now it's just you're lucky to still be around and still be healthy and still for everything to be going like it should.
And thank God for everything, for sure. So where'd you go to college?
I went to college. I started my college out in Kansas at Bethany College, and then I did some other kinds of college, and then I went to Johnson County Community College, and I finished up my bachelor's degree at Western Washington in Bellingham, and then I did my master's at the University of Phoenix. And yeah, that's about it. So yeah,
about it. Okay.
That's even rotated a lot.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And you're teaching now? You're
yes.
teaching? Oh, okay. Online, you mentioned earlier.
Well, because okay, I was a classroom teacher up in Skykomish, which is a little mountain village, is where I did most of my teaching. And then I stopped to do just regular online school, which is quite different than what we have now. But then when the school shut down because of the virus, they called and asked if I would do the online there at Skykomish for them because they had a need. So I'm back to teaching, but doing it online, but it's a little different now because regular online school is one thing. It's all organized, it's all figured out already, lesson plans, but this is you're going in and teaching as if you were in the classroom, only online. So it's a whole different ball game, but it's okay.
Okay. Well, my sister Iris, bless her soul, was a teacher, elementary school, and she loved it, and she did it probably for 40 years, then retired. So she loved it, and my hat's off to teachers, educators, because you guys are a special brand, and I just want to thank you, for
I,
helping helping all us kids, because I'm a big old kid at heart, and I'm glad I got. I always
about
tell my
that.
friends, I said, I got my degree. I'm excited to have it, and I'm done. So
You're right.
yeah, so so that's it for me. But you've written a book. You've written a book.
Well, here's what happened. I
Okay.
decided I was going to write a book that I'd always wanted to write since I was a kid. I'd read books like A Wrinkle in Time and Chronicles of Narnia. And, like everybody else, kids that, have hard times and stuff, you get immersed in the books and you learn things from the books about how to live. You know what I mean? You get ideas, how to live and things like that. And so I always wanted to write a book also. So I'm grown up and, my kids are grown and, life is going on and it's like, I better get that book written or it isn't going to get written. So I started writing it. But by that time I had grandchildren. So that made it easy because I when I was trying to think of names, I decided on the type. I was going to a little writers group meeting and decided I would just name the characters after the grandchildren, but grandchildren kept popping up. So I had to keep expanding the characters a little bit. And so in the end, the book has 8 characters. But after I finished the first one, and Waldorf picked it up, they suggested I go ahead and write a second one, which I hadn't been prepared to do, but it was like, yeah, why not? It needs a second one because there's questions unanswered. And when I got done with that, it's like, well, you might as well make the third so you can finish it off and make a nice trilogy. So I spent the last year writing the third. And so it's actually 3 books that I have. It's The Peacock Door, The Emerald Key, and The Lantern Tree will be coming out by January. So at that point, the trilogy will be finished.
Wow. Well, I mean, congratulations, and to do something like that. And maybe you can tell us a little bit about these books. I assume they're fiction.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I picked that up.
They are.
And I see them right here on my notes. The Peacock Door, Emerald Key, and the Lantern Tree. Tell us a little bit what inspired these books and what they're based on.
Okay. The books all kind of do the same thing, you might say, in one sense, like the Chronicles of Narnia. There's actually a change in time. The kids it starts off with the kids going to their grandmother's house, and she takes them out through the woods. It's a coastal town, and there's a tree house, and it's a very askew, old tree house, and they climb up there and she warns them not to go out the doors, the typical thing. But a couple of them decide to get sneaky and, they go through a door. And what happens is they end up in different lands, and then the other ones go searching for them. And then before you know it, all 8 of them are in different lands. But these lands, there's a time difference, and Grandma's not real scared because she knows where they're going, and she doesn't play a main character after this part. It's mainly the stories of them having to figure out where they're going and figure out how to get home. It's very much allegorical, especially in the first book. One group goes through a house of mirrors where they have to be able to see themselves. Another is having to find paths where they're getting lost and they can't find help, and there's, old hags and weird characters. And another group has to deal with greed, and they can't get through until they figure out what they're doing. And finally, they find their way to the oracle and ends up being the wrong one. So it's just a series of them trying to figure out how to get home. And of course, they eventually do get home in the first book,
Okay.
but only until they've learned lessons, kind of like in Pilgrim's Progress. The lessons are around good things, that they need to learn as people, it's not over the top, it's not in your face, but you can definitely see the lessons learned in order to find the keys to get home.
Okay. Well, I know putting together things that are in your heart, and these books good for children to read. Is that...
Yes, they're really kind of meant for, I would say, middle grade kids, like like A Wrinkle in Time, that age group. The Wizard of Oz, Chronicles of Narnia, Neverending Story. It's that type of a genre and that type of an age group. However, I have found in the reviews and when people are talking, the adults seem to like the books, which surprised me a lot. They said, there's like, I'm getting this for my kids, but there were lessons that I learned in this. And so that's always, of course, makes you feel really good to hear that. It's like, oh, thank you. But yeah, they're allegorical tales, basically about our paths in life, and for middle grade kids.
And your publisher is Waldorf Publishing?
Yes. Yes, they are awesome. Very, very wonderful to work with. Always helpful.
Well, we'll do a shout out to Barbara Terry. Barbara's my neighbor, and we live across we live across the street from each other. And she says, and I've been involved with her since probably 5 years or more. So I told her about my podcast. I'm trying to interview her, and she says, "Hey, Jim, why don't you interview my authors? I have 400 of them." So she picked the top 50, and you were on the top 50 to get set up for an interview with Jim Austin on my new podcast show. So we're just spreading the word. I mean, we interview interesting people and talk about subjects, and hopefully someone will see this podcast on YouTube or on my network and want to learn more. Is there any interest in doing a movie or anything like that?
Well, here's what I think. I think that, well, first of all, thank you for having me on here. I'm glad to know that I was one of those people that, thank you. Barbara's always been wonderful. She's been the whole group, Barbara and Emily and Barris, they've just been, and some of the artists have been awesome to work with. Can't say enough good stuff. But a movie, I think in everybody's dreams, it's like, oh man, can you imagine if it was a movie? And I've been very honored that there was a couple of reviews that came in, especially on the first one, because it's the one that's mainly been out, where people have said, make this a movie. And you go, oh, that's really sweet. But the reality of it is, not many books, they have to get to the right person at the right place. I think that this book is actually a very colorful book. And I think that the journeys the kids go on could easily be made into a movie, kind of a Lord of the Rings style, fantasy type thing. Well, no, that sounds bigger. I don't mean it's like Lord of the Rings. I just mean, that kind of a genre where there's a trip and a journey. I'm just meaning that. But the reality of it is life, and I feel blessed to know that people are just reading it. And I'm
Okay.
happy with that. You know,
Well, tell people how they can reach out to you, what's your contact, and then where they can find the book. And if they want to email you with comments or have questions, since you're a teacher and you're up in Washington State, there might be someone else that wants to talk to you about your books.
well, that would be super awesome. Um,
Okay.
the the best way to contact me, because there's a contact page in there, is on the website, which is peacockdoorandmore.com. Literally peacockdoorandmore,
Okay.
peacockdoorandmore.com. And the books are on there. The books can be found, of course, at Amazon and Barnes and Noble and at Waldorf. There's a link to them on the website, but you can just go in and put in the name on Barnes and Noble or Amazon. And yeah, there's a contact number. There's a contact page. If anybody wants to write to me or get a hold of me, that would be delightful. And there you go. Yeah.
We
There's also
will
a
we
Facebook
will
page.
let you know when it's posted up on my website. We go YouTube, and we're also syndicated on Anchor. So this goes out in about 10 platforms where people will learn more about what you're doing and what I'm doing.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Things
It's,
are going good, right?
yeah, things are going good. You're in Washington, I'm in Fort Worth, Texas, and you're loving what you're doing. I'm loving what I'm doing. If you ever get back to Texas, make sure you do a shout out. We keep the coffee on and come by. We're in the historic stockyards, and a lot going on, particularly the World Series right now. So
Nice.
excited about that. But I'm going to get ready to go. Is there anything you want to say that will inspire someone in their life? Something that you believe, or a motto, or anything like that?
Just keep your faith and walk the walk that you've been given to walk, and it's all going to be okay. Just hang on to God and keep going.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. One of my mottos is, the harder I work, the luckier I am.
There you go. That's another one. And
So,
I would say, find a reason to keep going. I'll say this real quick. I knew that when I wrote a book, there's a chance, there's so many books put out there that nothing can happen. And when I started, it was like, I don't want to waste all my time. What if I just waste my time? And I finally decided that if the only thing that happens is that my grandkids have a book with their names in it and their characters that they can give to their kids, it would be enough. It's not all that I want to happen. Trust me, I want the books to go out there, but it was enough to make it worth my time. And so by doing that, I was able to go ahead and do it. So I say, if you've got a big project and you don't know what to do, find a reason why it's okay to do it and then get started.
you're a blessing, Wanda. I enjoyed talking with you, and I look forward to staying connected with you. Okay?
Thank you